Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So in this video I want to go through my Wizard Thaumaturge build for module 31. Be aware this is something to work towards, and it will indeed get you all your damage stats maxed out on top of having some useful extra damage bonuses. If this video is 3 or 4 months old, be aware to look out for a module 32 version. You can access this document with a link in the video description below, and so let's go through everything. I'm going to begin with your power setup and feats, along with also your rotation. This can be very important for single target damage, and I would recommend having 2 separate loadouts. This being single target, there's a little bit of flexibility of what you can play if you have more than one wizard in the group. There is also the option to go with relative haste if you really don't need the extra action point gain that Smoldering Recovery can give you, and the option to have icy veins if there is literally no enemies other than your one target. But as soon as you have a few more enemies, glowing flames is huge. And there is a bit of multi-target within the latest trial, Shackles of Divinity, when you go to the Zulkir phase or you're killing those orbs. Your basic rotation is this right here. It matters most during an artifact call, and it's going to be dependent on whether you have Tacticians and Cavalry's Haste. This is a new insignia bonus they've just added, and it's a little bit better than, say, having 2 Tacticians Precisions that we used to use in the past. So take note of where you're at in the game. If you do get like a Tacticians and Cavalry's Haste, then you're looking at an order like this. When your group does artifact calls, everybody's going to cast their artifacts, supports are also going to have mounts, and they all increase the damage the target takes. You will do 2 to 3 times more damage within 10 seconds than you otherwise would. And thus we take advantage of that with this strict rotation. On Wizard you can be forgiven a lot more if you say mess up versus other classes. So you will begin by making sure you have 5 Arcane Mastery stacks. You see that just up here, and then you will cast your artifact, your Icy Rays, Entangling Force, Chill Strike, Repel, your belt item, your mount power, your daily power, then your Repel again, Chill Strike, Entangling Force, and Icy Rays. And that's it. 2 sets of encounter powers, your belt item, mount, and daily power. You need to be casting that daily power and mount power during the middle of the artifact call, as that is the most likely point where all of the buffs and debuffs are going to be active from those artifacts and mounts that the group are using. When you've done your artifact call and everything's on cooldown, you pretty much are just going to use your abilities as soon as they come off cooldown. Just keep in mind to use some magic missiles every now and again to sustain those arcane mastery stacks. You again can see up here you have 5 of them. They will fall off after 8 seconds. You can min-max a little bit by doing 2 hits of Chilling Cloud, 1 hit of magic missile. This way, you're getting out a little bit more damage than you otherwise would by just, say, holding down your Chilling Cloud. Once you're approaching the next artifact call, make sure to save those encounter powers and be ready for when that's going to be called. It will take timing and practice depending on the content you're playing to perfect your rotations and when exactly the team's going to do the next artifact call. You will then also want to have a multi-target setup. I recommend using a different loadout, as your feats will need to be slightly different. This is for killing groups of enemies. You have your Icy Terrain, which is just going to deal damage over time, your Fireball, instant burst damage, your Conduit of Ice dealing damage over time, and your Chill Strike, just instant area damage. Your daily powers, you can use your Furious Immolation, it's a great group up effect, and you will also use a multi-target mount combat power. Just always try and multi-target to get combat advantage against your enemies. So you look at this white arc, you want to make it purple by standing opposite, say, an ally who's on the other side of them, like my companion in this example. So whenever I deal damage against these guys, I'm now going to deal like considerably more damage based on my combat advantage. You will do the same in single target. Always make sure you have this purple arc on the enemy, that it's not white, that it's purple facing you, so that you have that extra boost from your combat advantage stat. There is no strict rotation in multi-target. You'll just use whatever abilities off cooldown and whatever fits best based on how much hit points the enemies have. And again, you could switch a little bit based on if you have another wizard in the team or not, and switching Icy Terrain if you don't want to have to cast it while being on top of enemies. But now we're going to jump back to, say, our gear, what you want to be going for. Again, this is a build that you're going to take time to work towards. A lot of this gear is going to be inaccessible to you, even if you're a full endgame player right now. Getting this stuff will take a while to get the actual drops. However, again, with all of this and in a group, you're going to max those stats, and you can see where they're all coming from in the bottom section just here. These are our base stats, and then all of the boosts we're getting through having a team and all the usual support effects that they give us. This module is centered around a new trial, so you have 10 people, you're very likely to have all of those support effects. So the gear we're going for is a headpiece with combat advantage, the chest piece with crit strike power and accuracy, the arms with accuracy, our weapons simply for the damage boost. These are the best ones you can have when against a single target. Potentially in the new trial, you can also use the Celerum weapons, since there is quite a bit of time where you have the orbs coming in, and also when you're killing the Zulkirs down below. If you're not killing the mobs quick enough, then it could be better having this general damage boost and giving up the little bit more item level and maximum base damage you could gain through the Void Touched. And of course, if you're still developing your character, don't have all of those fancy stats yet, going back to the North Dark weapons from the Demon Web Pits dungeon, these Perfect Loth ones are great to give you those stats. These boots simply give us power, crit strike, crit severity. They work by you dealing 35% of your health to your enemy in a damage hit, so all your encounter powers pretty much will trigger it. You got the Masterwork set for the accuracy recharge. You got this ring for crit severity, another for your combat advantage. Yes, it will give you a bit of power when you have multiple targets, but that's kind of irrelevant. We don't really need it. You got this shard for the extra damage, and these pants for the extra 10% combat advantage. So you're going to get gear that's pretty much focusing on giving you these main stats. And so if you can't get this stuff and you're still developing your character, you can check this video out, and otherwise just look for gear that's going to help you cap these stats. Prioritizing first power, then combat advantage, then crit strike and crit severity at the same level, and lastly accuracy. In the document you can see exactly where all of these items are coming from, and most are from the Master Shackles of Divinity trial. For your armor kits and jewels, it's simply those, and then we have the enchantments. The important ones are offense. You can throw whatever into defense that you have spare, Garnet for utility for forte, Overload's Devil's Precision, and the Rage of Flames can be switched out to a damage specific overload if you're facing certain enemies, like Dragon Slayer against dragons. A Lightning Flash combat enchantment, Recharge Speed enchantment. You could have movement speed if you really need that, or even action point gain if you're not getting your daily power back. And then you can see these artifacts. They're pretty much just there for the item level. You don't have to exactly use these, and I wouldn't overpay for them, but you can see here where they come from. Then we go to our boons. You're pretty much just focusing on everything that's going to give you extra damage. In terms of master boons, you want to be getting Bloodlust, Life Lessons, Blessed Advantage, and later on you can also get Blessed Resilience and Enhanced Application. And for the guild boons, make sure you're having that Revive Sickness. If you die, you're going to lose 10% of your damage, and with this you only lose 5%. Then we have our companions. As your active companion, you usually use one that's going to support the team. You can see in my Discord server just here, there's a list of different ones. And again, you're in a trial, there are 10 people, and you want like one of each type. If you have the luxury of not needing to use a support companion, yes, you can take one that deals the most damage, and you can check out my companion document for that. I will be going over new tests, but the module 31s are still here, and they're pretty much relevant still as well. I would definitely not prioritize a multi-target companion. They're pretty much just a luxury for questing. In terms of companion gear, this is coming from the Mountain of Flame campaign, but the new zone with the module 31 area does have new companion gear. This has higher item level, but it's pretty hard to obtain. You will have to balance the stats yourself, but these accuracy and combat advantage and forte ones are probably the easiest to fit. In terms of the companion enhancement, if you have a team that can give you, say, the Paladin crit aura, extra crit from healer's armor, or even their shirt, you can potentially switch off this and use a damage support one instead. It can be better because a damage dealer can have higher uptime on these. Otherwise, precision to cap your crit, Minsk for damage, Raptor for that power, Batiri for the damage, Neverwinter Knight for damage, and the Wolf for the crit severity. If you can't get the crit severity because you don't have the Wolf, you can use alternatives to give you, say, crit strike, and then switch precision over to like potent precision. You can see here how I'd switch the Batiri and, say, Minsk if you're in multi-target. Then we go to mounts. In your stable here, you want to be getting 1 Tactician's and 1 Cavalry's Haste. From there, an Enchanter's Hex, and then like 2 Executioner's Covenant. The insignias themselves, pretty much brutalities everywhere, except 1 aggression and 2 skill to help balance stats. You can see what colors I would go with here. And then for your mount combat powers, you have quite a few options, but you ideally want to go with the ones that give you a magical damage boost. As for multi-target, my high recommendation is the Legendary Flying Carpet. And then we have Opportunistic here for the stats. You could have Pack Tactics to support the team. And finally, Consumables. For this build, we got Flask of Potencies, Warloman Sorbet, Wildstorm Elixir, Ratatouille, and then, say, an Invocation Blessing you can use to get like the hammer icon to give you the extra power. As for the belt items, you want a Stone of Health, a Owlbear figurine, and the Spider Totem. You could have the Forger's Box instead of the Spider Totem and just rebalance your stats a teeny little bit. And otherwise, ability scores, you're focusing on intelligence and dexterity all the way, and the race I would go with is Wood Elf. However, you can use alternatives that give you boosts to these damage stats, and they can usually work fine. You might need to do a teeny bit of extra rebalancing. And that is the entirety of this build. Again, linked in the video description will be this document, and it will get you in a team all your damage stats maxed out. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below or message me on Discord. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys around.